Hello, today I would like to bring you a live session I played at NL200 Rush Cash on GGPoker. This session was played about 1 year ago, and there are some hands which I would have played differently right now. So probably in 1 week I will post another video where I will analyze the main spots and see, well, first of all what the solver do, but also I will tell what I would do right now, because I think my game improved a bit. So it's always important to see your session and check what you are doing and to see if you still agree with yourself. Enjoy. Long time no seen, and today I'm going to bring you an NL200 table on GGPoker, Rush Cash, and nothing else to say. Let's start playing, and thanks for watching. So, I'm gonna fold this one. I'll play only one table, just to be able to focus more, of course, while I speak, but also so I can explain better my thinking processes during the hand. I usually mark all non-full stack players as recreational players. The label I have for recreational players is green. Orange are probably regulars, but we don't know for sure. Since on GGPoker, I don't know, I mean, you probably know, but there is no HUD, so sometimes we take some more time to get an idea of villain tendencies and so on. So we're going to go a lot on assumptions, and when you have no assumptions, well, we'll try to stick to some GTO like kind of play. Okay, the rake is pretty high on GGPoker, so I will not use a limping strategy from the small blind. I'm just going to use a raise or fold one. This flop, it's a pretty clear check fold when we have two bad overcards on this kind of monotone flop, and we are out of position. Probably nothing else to do. Deuce 9 off. It's definitely a fold. We are going to 10 jack off from the cutoff. Would have been an open, but we get anticipated. 5-3 off. It's definitely a fold, and pocket raise from the cutoff. Let's see. We're going to open. I will make it 3x since the big blind is not playing full stack and he's probably a bad player. Let's see what the small blind does. Typically pocket raise is strong enough to call a 3-bet in position. Well, Teddy Bear just disconnected, so he wasn't thinking about 3-betting. Let's see. Probably not good for the for the video. Waiting for somebody to reconnect. But it is what it is, I guess. Okay. Not as funny as I hoped, the pocket raise. Let's see, ace 9 off. Well, I would have opened it, but clearly a fold when somebody opens before us and we are in the small blind. Ace 10 off. We have a guy who I marked as a recreational player. I'm not so sure, he might be, but I'm not sure. Again, I'm a bit not certain who is a bad player or not. And now we got to fold. I would have squeezed. This looks like an okay spot to squeeze. Queen 7 suited. It's an open from the bottom. 3x, given the big blind who looks recreational. I don't know. We are definitely going to fold with 3-bets. Queen 7 suited is not strong enough. Interesting flop. Of course, this is a kind of board in which we can see, but if we have some knowledge on villain tendencies. We don't. I'm gonna play it a bit straightforward and check back here. It's not a board in which I would necessarily want to bet my whole range. After the double check, I think it's fine to take a stab. We'll bluff some rivers, but easy peasy this way. Ace 9 off, a fold from under the gun. King 5s also, even if, you know, get the blinds look soft. I think sometimes it's fine to open it from the middle position. Pocket jacks. Our first big hand of the session. We have a guy marked as a recreational player opening. Let's 3-bet for X. Okay, I've seen worst flops, and given he's a bad player, I'm not going to bet balanced in any, nor my strategy nor my sizes are going to be balanced here, and I'm just going to bet big given the few draws out there. I could have bet even bigger, that I think probably up to 28, 29 would have been okay. Let's bet again on the turn. Still big. Many draws here. He's thinking about it. Let's hope he shoves. He does. Insta call for us, of course. Not very lucky on his side. Well, let's see. He may still make quad. That would be very funny. Okay, let's try it twice. Not the first, not the second. So, good start for this session, I would say. King queen off. We are going to play this hand very frequently. If button opens, I would mix it. Probably since we're playing on GGPoker where there is rake pre-flop, I would say the EV of 3-betting these hands, which are sometimes a 3-bet, sometimes a call, is lower, of course. So I would call way more frequently than I would in other situations. I would say the flop is pretty nice. I don't know anything about my opponent. We may check raise the turn also, or start betting. I don't mind check raising, but I don't think he has much. I'm just going to bet small, hoping he raises. But he does not. Oh, he's king. That was tight. Six three off. We are going to fold that. 5-7 suited as well. 5-6 off. Not much to do. Let me mark some recreational players, or possible recreational players, and let me open this. It's close actually. I would say from middle position we can also fold pocket threes. It really depends on the table. If you expect the field or the table to 3-bet a lot, we should definitely not open that. If you expect the field to be kind of passive pre-flop, I think it's an open. As a standard, I usually EP and MP, I open them half times, pocket pairs from pocket threes until pocket sixes. 9-10s we open, but unluckily villain didn't have anything to play. King 7 suited. We are going to open 3x, given the big blind recreational. Not going to call a 3-bet. I don't know why I do that. Sometimes I just see I click the rabbit to see the board, but it's really just a waste of time. 7-9 off, it is going to be a call only if small blind opens, even big blind, given he's even button, sorry, given he's a bad player, I could have called, but I would say this all fold, this walk is going to be the best case scenario for 7-9 off. Queen 10 suited, okay, we can 3-bet if the cutoff opens, given he's a bad player, or I'm going to open 3x, given the big blind is marked as a bad player. I don't know, I'm not sure, I mean, it might also not be. I think I have some little connection issues. Let's see. Okay, apparently they folded. Ace King, we are going to open. My standard size is 2.2. Don't know why it doesn't show. I think, yeah, it was 4.4, but just they don't show it on the chips. Big blind calls, no info on my opponent. Of course, 5-5-3 is a board that he's going to hit much more than me when he close the big blind than when I open from here, so I don't mind checking back my mid-value hand, because Ace King is a mid-value hand here. And if he bets on this turn, I'm definitely going to call. We have gut shot and not air. But if he checks, I would say there is no need for us to bet. The queen is okay. The queen is okay. We have a decent blocker for that. I don't mind calling here. It's fine, as played. He got the queen. Well played. We fold queen 4. Queen 5 off. We let it go. 5 jack off. It is going to be a fold in most cases. King 10 as. Let's see. Okay, I will squeeze just because there is a recreational player here on the cutoff. Without information on middle position, I would have just called in a player pool like this. Not about the player pool, it's about the fact that we pay a lot of rake. So, as I said before, we have a bit less of an incentive to take stabs, to 3-bet, sorry. And I'm going to check back this 8. Nice river, perfect for me to bluff catch if he bets. No way we fold, and I don't think there is need to raise here. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Let's fold. King 10 off. I'm going to open it from the cutoff if I already fold. It's pretty close when a recreational opens because, you know, I think it's okay to 3-bet and isolate ourselves with him. I could have made it smaller. I don't know why it came out that big, to be honest. I think when it's so short, around 10, 11 is ideal. 15 is definitely no need for that. Especially because sometimes he's just going to shove on our 3-bet and we are going to lose something more. Also, the fact that we pay 3-bet, we pay the rake on our 3-bet makes our sizing, ideal sizing, a little bit smaller. Queen 3 off, we fold. Ace King from the button. It is clearly going to be a 3-bet if nobody else does before us. Okay, now it's a squeeze. We are ready to get it in with the bad player being 60 big blinds deep, but he folds, so okay for us. 5-7 off, we are going to fold. Pocket jacks again. Let's see if we are as lucky as with the first pocket jacks. We open from the cutoff, 3x, given the big blind, and we are ready to call a 3-bet. Not 3-bet, small blind calls. It really shouldn't have many kings Of course, he might have some extra king because the big blind was a bad player, but anyway, I'm going to see bet this flop in my whole range. We can also call a raise on the flop. Second king on the turn. So when another king hits the turn, I would say pocket jacks can be part of our value betting range here. If it was a blank card, I would check back most of the times, but when the king hits, I expect more action from my opponent's mid pairs, so I think jacks becomes strong enough to be part of a polarized betting range. And then I'll make like that, at least. Five ten off. It's going to be a fold unless, yeah, I mean, I think the only way I'm going to play this hand is if the small blind bets 2x, raises 2x. I think this is the only way I can play 5-10 off here. Let's see. Oh! 2 point something. That's close. That's very close. It's just a garbage hand. Let it go. I mean, no need to do these kind of things. Then 4 off, definitely a fold. Ace 4 suited, let's see. It can be a 3-bet. And let's do it. We're a bit deep stack, but I don't mind. Ace 4 is a hand which will flop some nuts, so being deep stack is not that of an issue. I see some respect to 3-bets. Okay, definitely a fold this one. Nothing else to do. King 7 off. We are going to fold. Jack 7 off, same. Queen deuce, easy fold for us. King queen instead, I am going to open and I'm going to make it 3x given the big blind who is green labeled. Again guys, do not get angry if you see I label you in green. I mean, on GGPoker it's very easy to get mistaken and mark and give a player a bad label, the wrong label. It's just impressions of the few things I saw. Gonna bet on this flop about half pot. We are ready to call a raise, but he's not willing to do so. Ace queen. We are going to open. Let's make our standard opening size, given the big blind is a regular. Already folds, and we are kind of happy. I mean, we would be happier to win a big pot, of course, but plus 150 big blinds per 100 is, I would say, a decent result with any hand. Three-four suited. No, it's kind of close. As a standard, I would have folded probably this hand. If we know the blinds are bad or not rebetting enough, it can become an open end. Okay, this guy limps, so probably the green label is well given, and I am going to isolate. It's not really an isolation because chances are both are going to call, but it's more like of a race for value. When this guy, who I don't know, is going to 3-bet me this big, I'm just going to fold out of position. No need to play king queen off there. With no history and no flow whatsoever. Pocket deuces is a hand I am going to open 50% of the times from under the gun. This time it's one of the open. In position, pretty close, could be sometimes a bottom, a top folding range or a bottom calling range. I don't mind both. Let's call this time. The flop is sweet. Let's see if it's sweet enough to win a stack and not to lose one. I'm not sure I would have a raising range here. I could, since I'm under the gun. I definitely have ace queen and pocket queens in my range. Okay. We take it. Queen it off. It's definitely a fold. Oh, I hate this spot. I hate this spot. I don't know how many stacks I lost in this kind of spot in the most ridiculous ways. Okay. Actually, we just have to fold. For whoever of you who never played on GGPoker, those are, let's call them, I call them bonus tables, in the sense that GGPoker adds 10 to 20 big blinds to the pot, and then people do all kind of spews to get those blinds. Sometimes it also happens that they give you a stack, very rarely. It happened twice to me. They instantly give you 100 big blinds extra directly on your stack to each player of the table, so it's nice when it happens. 6 deuce is going to be a fold with no info or history on my opponent. Ace deuce suited is going to be now a fold. I would have opened. Time to time I 3-bet it, but not 100% of the times, and this time was one of the folds. You guys can use both randomizer or use the suite of the cards, or use also the clock on your computer. Like you can, for example, when you have a 50% frequency, you can, let's say, bet or do the aggressive line when, for example, the time is even, like today, right now is 2 p.m. and 5 minutes, so now it's uneven, the time, and in this case maybe I would have folded. Depends. I mean, if you use the clock, it can be interesting and funny to randomize your hands with the clock. I prefer a randomizer usually because it's more unpredictable. I mean, with a randomizer there is no way that villain can get your randomizing strategy. If they get anyhow that you're mixing, given the time, they just can check the time and know what you're going to do. So it can be tricky if somebody gets it. It's not easy, of course, to get it, but if somebody does, it's way to risk, let's say. We open pocket eights and okay. Queen ten off, just a fold. I could have opened if the big blind was a bad player and nobody else opened before me, but of course that was not the case. Jack 4 off, it's a clear fold, unless small blind does something silly. Ten deuce off, no, we're gonna fold, you're not Doyle Brunson, so we can fold that. 6-7 off, it's also a fold. King queen off, let's open it from the UTG. And I'm just going to fold. It's not part of my defending range. When I open UTG, I have better hands to call or 4-bet with. I mean, 4-betting is an option, but I think even here 4-betting is, let's say 4-betting is something which is really interesting nowadays, because I think until a few years ago, when there was not that much calling on 4-bets, I would say the range was much more polarized for 4-betting. Nowadays, that a lot of people calls 4-bets, I think is okay to 4-bet a bit more linear. Big bet here to this big size on this board. I'm just going to fold my bottom pair with no backdoors, no decent backdoors at least. If everybody folds, this is going to be a steal, but no. Cut off, chose to steal. Not much to do for us, and 9 deuce off, well, I would say not a hand we want to play. Some of you may ask, why am I playing on GGPoker? Well, because, you know, everybody knows the rake is huge on GGPoker, especially from NL100 plus. I would say, you know, you need to consider the rake, but also the field, how soft eventually it is compared to other places where you can play NL200. And I'm still not sure. I still have doubts. I'm not convinced still if I should play here or not. I didn't play many hands still. Anyway, here we call the 3-bet. Really deep stack, and the flop is nice. I am going to call. I don't think raising achieves much with no info on our opponent. Check the turn. Let's see what he does, if he bets, how much he bets, and so on. Checks back, which is a good news. And on the river, I'll say it's close. We may both bet or bluff catch. If I had a better kicker, probably I would bet. Maybe even queen jack I would have bet. Queen 10, I'm just going to check and typically call. Villain's bet. Nice. I'm not in love with his bluffs. With his bluff. I mean, Ace King I think is a hand that you can bring to showdown there at this point. I mean, I think you have other hands to bluff before Ace King. Feels like a bit of an overbluff, in my opinion. Ace King. But I would have liked a triple barrel on his side. Would have been interesting, because, you know, if you triple barrel that with those blocker, then yes, it becomes intense for me to defend. King 8 suited. Let's open this. Of course, it's the kind of hand we are opening but folding to 3-bet, especially from a bad player who is also short stack. Five 10 suited is my bottom opening range from the button. I would anyway open a bit wider given the big blind recreational, but well, if somebody else opens, of course, 10 jack suited is 10-5 suited, pardon, is a clear fold. Five 9 suited. If I already fold, kind of close. I would probably open if I knew something more about the big blind. I would say versus an unknown, it's fine to just fold it. Queen 10 off from the cutoff. It is an open if middle position let us do it. Yeah. Okay. Jack 6 suited, we fold. I'm going to play a line, guys. 30 minutes, I think it's kind of enough for a YouTube video. So I'm gonna play like 3 more minutes and then I'm going to quit the session. Of course we played few hands, but I hope anyway the explanation I made were interesting and fine. I hope I didn't speak too quickly. I'm not native English, so I'm sorry if by speaking quickly I become, let's say, sorry if by speaking quickly you can't understand anything. Please let me know if I'm speaking too quickly, because again, my pronunciation is probably shitty. And so, yeah, let me know if I should speak slower the next time. And here I am going to call. I just called because the big blind was a bad player. I'm not in love with calls from the small blind, even if on GGPoker, where you play the rake by 3-betting, it probably makes sense to have a cold calling range, but I definitely like it if there is a big blind who is a recreational player. I don't mind check raising this flop. I'm kind of on the high part of my range here, and pocket tens, and a pair of tens is definitely one of those hands which needs some kind of protection at this point. So I can both get value and achieve protection for my hand. But with no info or history on my opponent, I'm just going to fold if he 3-bets. It's probably exploitable, but still, I think it's fine. Yes, it's interesting. since I don't mind mixing it up with my opponent, it's not a card in which I should be able to bet that much, because I'm not sure raising many aces, nor I have many aces in my range when I call the small blind, so feels like this is one of the cards where I should slow down in general with my range, and since I have no info on my opponent, I think it's nice to check also something very strong like this one. Now this river hits, I still feel I should check. Yeah, I still feel I should check on a card like this. Let's see what he had. Pocket nines, yeah, I mean, it would have been tough to get value anyway. I'm not sure on the river. Maybe we can check it on Pio Solver, but I mean, it's a spot which is pretty uncommon, because normally we don't even have a call in that situation. And it was kind of marginal, and I had this ace-10 only because the big blind was a recreational player, so it was kind of a weird spot. I don't think it changes much. Let's play this as last hand. Kings, why not? 30 minutes passed from when I started. Let's see if the classical last hand of the session, where you lose a stack. No, okay, it's just a regular blind still. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the session. We were kind of lucky, of course, if you play 1 hour session, half an hour session, one table, and you get 2 stacks. Of course, you can't say you were unlucky. And I hope anyway you enjoyed. Please leave a feedback in the comments. I will try to make more live sessions at NL200, which is my main stake, but also I will probably share some live play at lower stakes, just to let's say to cover more stakes. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.